Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube. I need your guys' help. I'm having to run off live because I don't actually have an internet connection. I usually manage to steal Portsmouth Council's internet connection, but they've taken it down and it makes it very, very difficult. So I've had to sit in a spot just to get a line. But anyway, I need people's help. Because, as you know, on the 13th of December 2012, 2 of my children were taken by Flintshire County Council, and I was issued with draconian gagging orders to prevent me from speaking out about what's happened. As you know, I took it to the streets. We created Walk for Justice, and I never, ever, ever expected to find that so many people were in the same situation. Now, obviously, I'm a mother, and I started my life as an army wife with my 2 boys, and I lived a pretty suburban life, and I went to university and I studied psychology, and my intentions was to help people who have been through child sexual abuse overcome their trauma. And I also sort of went further and further into all forms of different therapies to be able to help myself deal with my own childhood trauma. And it's sort of taken me down a rabbit hole and taken me further and further and further than I ever thought this stuff will go. So in 2010, I decided to take all my knowledge, all my experience, and put it together into a product. And I created that product called Challenge Britain, which became Step Up Britain. And the more I was interviewing people who were on disability benefits, I was finding that people were traumatized, and they were traumatized because they had either been in foster care and had been sexually abused, or they had had children taken and they were depressed and didn't know how to deal with this. And I started asking the question, why don't parents fight for their children? Little did I know that months later, I would find myself in a very, very similar situation, and finding that it isn't actually as easy as you think to be able to prevent people coming in, taking your children, and being on a hiding to nowhere. And then once that's done, that because it's a secret court, that you're issued with draconian gagging orders to prevent you from speaking and telling anybody about it, as I found out myself. So now I have a choice, because as people know, I have 2 little boys here. And I think part of, allowing me to have my boys was the hope that I would bugger off and, be playing in the park and being a mum to my children. And I would give up on the campaign for forced adoption exposed. In fact, during all of the meetings, it was made very, very, very clear that I wasn't allowed to continue with my paperwork to do with Aaron and Faith, and I wasn't allowed to continue campaigning. But as I made it very, very clear that the EU inquiry had actually now brought this, so it wasn't a case that I was a placard waver on the streets, and this was official governing bodies that were now investigating why so many children were taken. Some parts of the media are willing to talk about this, and obviously the media have other draconian gags themselves. Now, initially, I was an airy-fairy, everybody loved the world. The world's an amazing place. It's just the people that need to change. And I've always been about that this is a revolution with yourself. Take back your heart, mind, and soul. But obviously, after my children were taken, it took me to a very, very dark, dark, dark place I've got some messages coming up, but I'm just going to free flow talk, and I'll check the messages out in a minute, and I'll tell you why I'm here and what help that I need. So anyway, I'm currently living in a 1-bedroom flat, and I'm on income support. Now, every time there's a meeting that I need to go to, I'm dependent at the moment on the charity of Forced Adoption Exposed, and we have somebody who has actually been sponsoring and helping make this happen. And I can't rely on that anymore. It's too chaotic, and my life is too chaotic at the moment. My partner is literally out and about trying to build up his career to support the family. But we have both literally come from absolutely nothing. We met on Downing Street. He had a backpack with some spray cans and a couple of pairs of jeans, and I had a car that I had been donated, and which was absolutely full of all of my paperwork. And we didn't know where to go or what to do. And I left with Dean to go to Bristol so we could start sort of rebuilding our lives and preparing to, you know, bring our own faith back through the court system. Now, obviously, that didn't work out because we got to Bristol and Dean was arrested and held on remand because we had no fixed abode. And I was taken even further down the rabbit hole. So we, not knowing sort of what to do, we came to the council where I was born. I've never lived in Portsmouth, but I was born here and felt that potentially that because I would have some form of care or duty here, that they may help. Now, officially, as a couple, we weren't entitled to any form of help. It was only because I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and only because we were protected by disability laws, and I was a high-risk pregnancy and willing to work with the system, that they provided us with a one-bedroom flat. Now, it's not suitable, it's not conducive, and trying to be a mum, working from home, and even just being a mum, a normal mum with EDS, it is so damn challenging. And obviously, I have absolute snakes in the grass that are trying to do whatever they can to prevent me from continuing this mission. Now, I can go and get a job, and I can go and work in an office and literally put my children into childcare and, you know, support my family that way. But because my children were taken, I'm too nervous to put my children into any government facility where I don't know who is around my children, and I don't know who or where or what could go on, because at the moment, as long as my children are with me, nobody can touch them. But as you know, during this time here in Portsmouth, I did bow down to win. I did keep things going in some ways, because obviously I have admin on FEA that kept things going to get as many people over to the adoption inquiry as we could go. And the day that I decided to bounce back after social had left us and we had had enough time to sort of let things die down, I decided that I was going to put up a post to thank Donald Trump for the fact that he is going to have no stone unturned on child trafficking. Now, obviously, he's a little bit naive on the spectrum and the Bitcoin, and, you know, I'm not in control of the man, but I do believe he's in the right position at the right time. And I have something here just to sort of prove some stuff. So this is my pass from the National Achievers Congress in October 2012. Aaron and Faith were taken 2 months later. And all I was trying to do was get government to change the branding of disabled to enabled. And also I was saying to them that with the new system changes coming in, that they were taking people off the old system and putting them onto the new system, and they were creating a gap. And what that gap was doing was pulling people through into the gap, and they were falling onto their asses, losing their homes and falling out onto the streets. Also, bills weren't getting paid during that gap, and people were ending up with defaults on their credit score. Now, we know this gap is deliberate. Now, what I've been trying to do is bridge that gap, because I felt that there were too many people out there who were too vulnerable, and they needed to have the education and empowerment to help them through that gap. And it's exactly the same for self-employed people. It's exactly the same for people in employment. The system is the same, whichever side of the coin you wanted to be on. But I wanted to be able to educate people at the bottom of the whatever you want to call it, and help them understand what those at the top know in order for everybody to pretty much live an equal, balanced life. And, you know, we're not parasites or peasants that, you know, are stood outside the Queen's house begging for bread and water, just like it was years and years and years ago. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have human rights. Now, our country, the UK, which is where I'm talking from, will eventually come out of the EU. And that means the people here in the UK need to become independent. Most people in education are not taught how to make money, how to support themselves, and most people end up turning to the system, a system that is fragmented, broken, and designed in a way that they would hope that the weak will literally off themselves and they can breed a whole new world of strong, mighty people who are corruptible. But anyway, that's another story. So basically, I've got a choice to make. I can either accept that I just can't afford to run this campaign from the situation that I'm in, or I can choose the David and Goliath mentality that a little single mum, I'm not single, I have a partner, but at the moment I'm relying on myself because my partner is hardly ever here. He's out and about trying to get himself back up as well, because his children were taken not by the courts but by the mother, and he's been rebuilding his life too. So this is why I need your help. I have decided, rather than turning to the community for help every time I need a meeting, and as people know, during July, I'm going to be running a massive big campaign for Forced Adoption Exposed, because we're an underground world. We're basically parents that have had our children taken off of us and have draconian gagging orders on us, and we're trying to get the justice that we need for our families, and I'm trying to do everything that I can to protect my two children. Now, I only get a letter every October about what my children are doing, but I can't respond to my children, and I only get this letter. Now, this letter is nothing more than what they can learn on social media about who my children were before they were taken. So in the letter, they talk about skateboarding, BMXing, my daughter dancing, nothing that I've never spoken about who my children were at the age that they were taken. I'm reliant and dependent on this letter to know that my children are still alive and they're safe and they're doing well. I can only hope and pray that when my children were taken, that some lovely adopters have come along and taken my children, adopted them, and are keeping them safe from this system. They have been adopted together as far as I know, and the letters that I get imply that the people that they are with may be genuine people. But unfortunately, in this system, not all foster parents and not all adopters and not all social workers are aware of the bigger picture of what is going on. Now, I started with Hope for Justice before my children were taken. I used to attend Creation Fest with my children, which is a Christian festival, and I was a sponsor for Hope for Justice, who were about human trafficking, child trafficking, and I believed in their cause and mission. And it's just something that I suppose, as a mum, that we all have a charity that we support, and that was the charity that I supported, which is where End It comes from. Before Aaron and Faith were taken, I was involved with LZ7 to help them get to #1 in the charts with their album. That I would then find that my children had been taken. Someone just said, it's been nice to see you back. I'm actually over on social media, so I do actually have a different page that I run on, and I also am in the underground world as Mother Goose. So Mother Goose, if you see Mother Goose, that tends to be me. And I still do run FEA, which is Forced Adoption Exposed. The Walk for Justice page is currently down because I've been trolled by Sid's family. As people know, Sid has had an accident. He's never had his family in his life, but they are in his life now. He's had this accident, and obviously they want to shut down the work that Sid was involved in and don't support that Sid also is like me. I'm just taking this window very, very quickly because my two boys are in the living room. Elijah is just about to wake up and Shiloh is up. So in a minute, I need to go off and be a mum. Now, in order to keep this mission going, as I've said, I can't be dependent on charity. So I've decided to use YouTube, which is why I need your guys' help. So what I basically need everybody to do is go on, subscribe to my page, and literally the moment I hit 1,000 subscribers, then I can get YouTube to start sponsoring these videos. That means they spam me with some adverts and some add-on stuff, but it still means that we get our message out. And until this platform is taken over by government, then we're safe to continue with the videos. So in July, I'm going to have all of the videos up on my YouTube to do with social services, but there's a lot of disinformation out there, and what's going on is polarity. So there's a spectrum of what's going on, and some people talk about state kidnapping, some people talk about paedophilia circles, and some people talk about child trafficking. And the problem with that is mums like myself who are completely naive to what's been going on with Pizzagate, with child trafficking, with paedophilia circles, entering into a court arena, who don't know about the court process, who don't know the laws and gaps that they're about to hit. So I've been putting videos on my YouTube to teach people these tools, because at the end of the day, the people who are having their children taken are those that don't have the education, mindset, or the money to stand back and fight for their children. This system has us so set up that legal aid is cut off after our children are taken, and we have absolutely no way of defending our family. And then, of course, if you do speak out, then they will hit you with draconian gagging orders. And as you know, I was the storm that was going to London on the 28th of October 2013. And that was for my 2-year committal to prison. Now, we started Walk for Justice on the 11th of September 2013, and the courts issued me with draconian gagging orders. In fact, they searched me down and found me at the Screaming to be Heard conference and served me there to prevent me from speaking about my own case and speaking about what was going on. And I was taken to the Royal Courts of Justice to face a committal to prison, of which I turned up to. I represented myself, and I told them to do it. I said, I dare you to make a martyr out of me, and I dare you to put me into prison, because I've already got a following on social media. I already have people here who I had behind me at the open court. And I said, and if you put me in prison, then I will go in and educate as many families as I can and help people learn to read and write. And if you put me on lockdown, then you'll never take the Lord out of my heart, and I will continue to keep going. And then literally the day that you release me, I will start again. So I have draconian gagging orders on me until my children are 18. Now, I have 2 boys here. I love them dearly, but what I do jeopardizes my children, and I need to do this in a really safe way, because when I relaunched in September last year, which was September the 24th, I started, September the 11th, as always, but on 24th of September, Portsmouth Council and police, they detained my car on the Sunday, stating that there was no documents on it. Now, I was a little bit dodgy on my insurance. I hadn't paid it, but they told me there was no documents on my car, even though there was. And basically said because it was a Sunday, they had to take my car, and I would have to go back over to the police station with my documents to be able to get my car back. So then on the Monday, I attempted to go and do that, and I got a phone call to say that all my housing benefit had been suspended. And then I was thrown in the courts on Wednesday, which I managed to obviously know what to do and fought back on that as well. And then on the Thursday, I had a woman post onto Dean's social media that she was in a relationship with him. And then an hour later, I had an incident out here with the youth, where the police were called to it, and I went to get milk for my son, and the police wouldn't let me. I was assaulted and detained by a police officer, and my son was taken from me. Luckily, my mum lives here and stepped in and took my son while we dealt with the matter. And I was locked down into St James's Hospital and put on a section order. This was all while the adoption inquiry was going on. Just stay there a minute. I'm back. Obviously, these little boys come first, but when they did what they did to me, I was 7 months pregnant with Shiloh, and Elijah was with me, and there was absolutely nothing that I could do to protect my children at that point. It happened literally outside my window here, and I did actually manage to get my children back. But the only reason that I got my children back is because I knew the laws, I knew the processes, I knew what to do, and I actually got Elijah back on Bank Holiday Monday. It was the same week that Victorious was on in Portsmouth, which is a festival. Absolute roller coaster. But because I have so much debt on at the moment, I've had the bailiffs here today. I'll just keep the doors closed to them. But because we're under a multi-agency, if the bailiffs come, if I kick off, the police come. If the police come, social services come. So I have to be able to support my family and fund my family into a place that is safe for me and my children. I have 3 books that I want to write. Mind games. It's a war on your mind, people. It's a war on your mind. But it's also a war on our children. Unfortunately, there is a lot of stuff going on that people don't know about. And I'm going to use my YouTube channel to be able to do that. So basically on YouTube, and you can all do this as well, if you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 views on your videos a year, then YouTube will pay you for advertisement, okay? So I'm going to do that instead of having to beg and borrow to be able to get to meetings, because the people don't want me in these meetings. They will do anything to keep me out of these meetings. And I was, you put your... on my Facebook. I put you on my Facebook. Cool, brilliant. Come on, guys, because at the end of the day, at the moment, okay, and please know, social media and AI and all of this stuff, they haven't created this free platform without obviously having an agenda for it, and it is playing with your mind. They are using algorithms, which is why we have to know and understand and then use it and manipulate it back, which is why I want everybody through July going Red X. And the reason that I want everybody doing that is because if everybody on social media, wouldn't it be amazing if everybody did it? But if everybody went on X, then what that will do is that will highlight the underground world that we exist in and raise us up. And at the end of the day, if people really, really knew what was going on in child trafficking, okay? Now, please remember, at the moment, they're lying to you and disinformationing to you, and they're creating a war on the Muslims, and it isn't the Muslims, okay? This is not about Muslim families. This is not about stuff like that. It was an isolated... Oh, shit, see, it's taking my fucking internet and shit down now. My computer's just literally starting to mess about. So basically, I need the funding. Seriously, it's not funny. I'm hoping I'm still here. It's just gone really, really dark, and I have a feeling it's going to crash out on me in a minute, and it keeps crashing out on me, and it's not funny. I was going to Manchester the other day, and I put out onto social media, onto FEA, about this meeting that I had to attend in Manchester. And I went to fill my car with petrol, and all of a sudden I went to get it cleaned out, and the guy is going, petrol, petrol, boom, 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 get kids out car. Dean has now checked the car, and he believes that somebody has put a pin in the bottom of my car. As we know that when the Jimmy Savile case was first ever getting exposed, Jill Dando was pwned. So campaigners like us are going missing. Campaigners like us are having our children taken because they hope that by taking our children, we will shut the fuck up and we will disappear, and ultimately we will take our lives. I'm still here. I'm still going, and I'm going to keep going, because at the end of the day, there is a difference between having a job having a career and having a calling. And this is my calling. I am an annulled adoption. I am a child who was abused within the system, not in the big way that other people think, but by children who were also going through abuse. I have been in foster care. I know what being in foster care was like. But there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there that are jumping on to little facts and pieces of truth that are disinformationing people. And I want to be able to bring balance to this, because we've got the right, we've got the left, and they're not talking to each other. And we've got a bunch of racists out there that are willing to jump on one smidgen of one case where 250 children were found in a trafficking ring, and they've put all the blame on the Muslims. It is bigger than this, guys. It is much bigger. Now, what I want to be able to do is move to the solution. And the solution is have a revolution with yourself. Take back your heart, your mind, and your soul. And don't let these people take your joy. Don't, it is a spiritual war, whether you believe it or not. Just because we've got nice little shiny iPhones, which, by the way, this was given to me, it's completely cracked. And I need to sort of, get up and dated. My son is literally about to wake up, which is why I'm putting this video out there. So if people can please subscribe, help me get up to 1,000 subscribers, and literally I can kick in to start getting paid on here. And then on the 1st of July, we're going to completely smash it. All the videos are going to be held back at the moment. They're all set to private. And the moment on the 1st of July, I'm going to kick them all over, and I'm going to open Back Up, Step Up Britain's, Back Up, Step Up USA, Australia, step up the lot of you, step up the lot of you. And literally we're going to try and get social media going again. And then I can be out playing in the park, being a mum, doing what I need to do, and come on here and give my time to be able to get these videos out. We do have a human rights lawyer who's going to give me a hand, and we're going to basically now use the tools and the things that they use against us to use back. At the end of the day, this system is Babylon, okay? And it's the same laws that we've been under for the last 400 years. Love the Queen, but at the end of the day, she's naive. She doesn't realise the snakes in the grass around her, and we shouldn't be living under a monarchy. We are more than capable of governing ourselves. We are more than capable of being individuals in a community, and we don't need to be living in this world that we're currently living in. So anyway, before my son gets really, really grizzly, I'm going to shoot off, get my kids to the park, and I'm going to be back in this evening when my kids have gone to bed, because ultimately I'm a mum, and I'm a mum that comes first. But I'm not just a mum to these two. I'm a mum to my 2 boys that I can't afford to keep getting up to Preston to go and see them. My car is now off of the road yet again. And they took the one before that. So I need to be getting myself financially independent. And for as long as YouTube hasn't been shut down, then I'm going to utilize it and use this as the motoring force to push us forward, bring us together, get us collaborating, and weed out the disinformation and bring you truth and balance and laws that are going to help defend families. But I'm going to have to go because my son comes first. So please help me get up to 1,000 subscribers. The moment that kicks in, then I can use them to balance this bank account and support this mission, and obviously get me and my children in safe, get my au pair over from Trinidad. So I've got childcare here when I have to go into meetings, and she's going to get back on the road with me. And we're getting back into these meetings where I'm going to be literally, they've just shut all my chat down now, but we're going to literally, keep pushing, keep educating. MK Ultra these people back, guys. They're doing it to you, so it's time for you to do it back to them. But we're not going to fight fire with fire. This isn't about a fight. It's about standing our ground with truth and facts, and making sure that we arm and educate all parents, so when someone does come to the door, they know what to do. And there are parents out there that are incompetent and can't protect their children, so we've got to protect their children. And they don't call me Mother Goose for nothing. So I'm still dealing with my own case with Aaron and Faith, and I need to be a mother to these two. And obviously I have houses to clean, normal daily things to do, food to buy, and I have to either go and get a job, and if I do that, I can't do this. So I'm carrying on with the calling, carrying on with the mission, and hopefully YouTube is going to be the way forward for me for a bit to be able to fund this. So have a look at how YouTube works. But at the moment, please hit the subscribe button, get my likes up. I think I only need 93 more people to activate it. And the videos are doing enough. We get well over 4,000 views on videos. In fact, we get 4,000 a month. So, but I am over on Forced Adoption Exposed. I am over on Kelly Cottam on Facebook. That does go through to Twitter. I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. And if I can get the websites back up, which I need money to support to do that, which is why I need you guys to subscribe, as soon as I can get the websites back up. But at the end of the day, they can take me down at any point. So I need to get me and my children in a safe place with a garden where I can open them up and do some work online. We don't own the land at the end of the day, but it's better than being here where I'm under cameras with police and in a vulnerable situation. So anyway, got to go. Subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Loads of loves, guys. Revolution with yourself. Take back your heart, your mind and soul, and educate and inform yourself. Bye.